Welcome back to Potions and Processing. I am your host, Raven White. I have something super cool to show you guys. You might have already seen it because I did post a reel, but I have a tattoo. It's my very first one. Everyone is so shocked when I say that because I just apparently look like someone who would have tattoos. But yes, it is my very first one. Look, behold, see. It's not a very good angle, but you're just going to have to deal with it. I posted a reel of it. You can go see it for a better angle if you so wish, but I love it. I'm super excited about it. It's healing so nice. This is like... I miss the days when my brain worked and I could do easy math. This is day number 4 since I got it done. It's doing great. It hasn't been like really red or puffy at all. It's just like a little bit like right here. And I think that's just because of moving. But otherwise, it's doing amazing and I love it. And I'm going to put the artist here and you should go check them out on Instagram and give them lots of love. He did a really good job. He was very informative. He explained the whole process of it because it was my first one and I didn't know anything. And it was just a really good experience and I really appreciated that. And yeah, I'm super, super stoked and excited about my first tattoo. This tattoo is art for my upcoming book, Entropy, which releases in November. And I worked with an artist at Shrikebait on Instagram, and we came up with some really cool interior art designs, and this was one of them. And as soon as I saw it, I thought, I have to have that on my body for the rest of my life. It is inspired by Michelangelo's piece, The Creation, where Adam is reaching up towards God. And in that piece, the gap between the fingers between Adam and God, if Adam extended his finger all of the way, it would bridge that gap between Adam and God, indicating that if you reach out, God is always there. I wanted this piece to reflect what it has been like to deal with chronic illness, what it has felt like for me as a chronically ill person throughout my life, as it has just gotten more intense and worse as I've gotten older. I'm in my mid-30s now, and it has gotten much more intense, much more serious, much more debilitating. And I was always told, oh, when you hit your 30s is when you're in your prime. That's your peak. That's when things get better for you. That's when people respect you. That's when everything just starts to fall into place. You have your finances figured out. Everything in your life just comes together. And that has just not been the case across the board at all for me. Everything just kind of fell apart when I hit my 30s. My book, Entropy, is about my journey through different kinds of illnesses that I've had. It interprets chronic illness as botanical horror, as it mushrooms and fungus and poison ivy growing inside of you and sprouting, growing around your organs, kind of presenting like that, because that's kind of what it feels like to me. I had really bad endometriosis that grew all over my uterus, for instance. And so I describe that as thorns. And I have another piece in the book that Shrike drew for me that has the uterus being constricted by thorns. So there's a lot of body horror, botanical horror elements to it. And this piece, you have this hand being constricted by poison ivy, and the finger that is meant to reach out and touch divinity is constricted by poison ivy, preventing it from being able to reach out completely and being able to reach out and bridge that gap. For me, as a chronically ill person, having chronic illness has prevented me from reaching a lot of my true potential, from being able to keep up with able-bodied people, from being able to do a lot of the things that everybody else has been able to do, from all of the things I was told I should have been able to do. It represents that not quite being able to bridge the gap of everybody else, not being able to reach my true potential, not being able to reach divinity, but also the fact that I still reach nonetheless. Nonetheless, I still reach. I'm still alive. Of course, I will thrive. Chronically ill people are some of the strongest people that I know, because in spite of all of the things that we face, the barriers, the prejudice, the judgment, the condemnation, the neglect, we still rise, we still reach, we still persist. And that is what this tattoo means for me. So I'm very excited to have it. It's kind of funny because I posted it. I was very excited when I got it. And I posted it with this funny little audio. If you're chronically online like me, then you might have run across Chit online. If you haven't, he's a very funny personality. And Do It Lady is a trending audio on TikTok. So I used it. But weird other chronically online people, I'm assuming, commented and tried to politicize my tattoo, making weird comments about who I must be. And I'm not used to this kind of thing. People make comments about me and my appearance all the time. I get chronic comments about my hair, usually from balding men. In fact, all of the comments about my body, all of the time, about my weight, how I look, how I dress, and about my hair are always from men. I'm super excited for more of that. Don't forget, I am collecting all of your comments and I will rate them at the end of the year. In last week's episode, I promised you that we would talk about witchcraft in the Christian school. So we're going to talk about that today. One last plug for my book. If you would like to pre-order Entropy, you can pre-order it from me directly. And if you pre-order it from me directly, you get a whole bunch of cool stuff with it. And you also get the chance to get a print from one of the art pieces from the inside of my book, which is really cool in my opinion. And you can do that at curiouscorvidpublishing.com. And the link will be in the description below. You can also pre-order it at Kindle right now for the ebook if you're an ebook reader. But you can also get the ebook from me directly too. You can pre-order that. So if you're interested, that's where you can do it. And when you pre-order for me directly, I get all of the money, which is nice. And then all of that money goes to help support me and my medical needs and keeping my business afloat. So extra kisses for you. Here's your content magic. Screen magic. Here are all the things we're going to be talking about today so that you have situational awareness and can protect yourself and make good judgment for your mental health, because that's important to me, because I really do care about you. A little bit of a recap. When I was going to this school in 5th grade, I was already wearing head coverings and modest attire. And when I'm talking about modest attire, I am talking about overly baggy clothes to cover up the fact that I had a body. And I was also wearing longer sleeve clothing to cover bruises on my body because I was being abused at home. I was wearing my hair up in buns or in protective braids so that people couldn't see my hair. And when I'm talking about head coverings, I wish that I had pictures for you, but I'm not quite comfortable sharing pictures of myself yet from those days online. But they were long, round, oblong head coverings, and they were white, and they would start right here at the crown of my head, and then they would come completely back and come all the way down to about this part of my back, and they would cover all of my hair. And then my hair would either be tucked up underneath or I would have a braid. And then no one could see any of my hair, and my hair would be pulled completely back. I didn't have bangs or anything like that. Everything was pulled neat and back and tidy because my hair was a gift to my husband. And my hair was my glory. My hair was my crown. It was a gift to my husband someday. And that makes me feel really gross saying that out loud. But that is how I was taught. And that was what I was raised to believe. I was wearing that. I was dressed in overly modest attire, and I already was kind of believing strange, overly extremist beliefs. And this new girl came into our class. Now, I had already attended school in 4th grade. I wasn't wearing these types of things in 4th grade, but when I came back in 5th grade, I was. So it was a nice extreme change. And I was also living in the cage when I went back to 5th grade. Now, this girl, we're going to call her Diane. Diane was a chronic liar, but I didn't know that at the time. Nobody knew that at the time. And she would just make up things all of the time. I think maybe for attention. I don't really know. But she would lie constantly. I really desperately wanted to be her friend. And so I put up with a lot of things from her in general because I wanted to be her friend, because everybody else in my class was already friends. And I hadn't made any friends last year, and I had really wanted to make friends this year in the chance that I was going to be coming back for 6th grade. It's no small surprise that I was miserable at home. I did not have a good time. I was locked in a small, confining room when I was at home. And then when I was at school, I was being bullied by my classmates. I was being ridiculed by my teacher because I was struggling in class and he did not help me or support me in any way, shape, or form. I just lived a miserable existence, like all the way around. I don't remember exactly how witchcraft got brought up into my existence or into the conversation between me and Diane. But one day during recess, we were sitting, we were talking, and I had expressed that I was just generally very unhappy. I hadn't gone into any details. I knew better. I knew better than to do that. But I was generally unhappy, and Diane expressed that she also was unhappy, but that she knew this magic trick, this magic solution that could make all of our unhappiness go away. And someone had taught it to her, and she was very willing to teach it to me. It was part of something called like Blue Angels, I think. I don't remember like the specifics of it. I don't remember like the chant, but here's what I do remember and how it went down. We were sitting on the curb at recess, and she said we had to summon like these blue angels and we had to like do this chant. And I was very nervous because I was like, this is like so anti everything I've ever been taught, everything that I know. But I was, again, extremely unhappy at home. I was just miserable all of the time and being punished for things that I did not do, that I knew were terrible, horrible things. My body was covered in bruises. What else was I supposed to do? So I did this thing that I knew could possibly be very dangerous. I chanted and I hoped to summon these blue angels that would deliver me from this horrible, horrible situation that I was trapped in. I remember my heart racing and my body shaking, and I felt this exhilaration that I had done something so wrong, like so rebellious. She was like, now you just have to wait. You have to wait for like something to happen. I don't have any recollection of like how the school found out. I don't remember who said what. I don't remember saying anything. I feel like I would have known better than to say anything. I was a master secret keeper. I still am. I learned early on how to keep a secret well. Maybe that's also partly the Scorpio in me. I've always been a vault, and I really don't think I was the one who spilled the beans about doing witchcraft on school property. Somebody said something, and there was a after school like court hearing held. And I say court hearing because that's how they made it seem. But it was me and Diane and our 5th grade teacher. We sat there and I told the teacher, I was like, listen, she's the one who brought it up. She's the one who introduced it. This is what happened. Yes, I did the chant. This is, this is why I did it. I've just been really unhappy. I'm struggling with a lot of stuff. And I gave into temptation because that's what one does when one is presented by the devil and you're in a very sad and sorrowful place as a 5th grader. I know what I did was wrong, but I promise it wasn't me. I didn't bring it in. I didn't do the witchcraft. It wasn't me. My 5th grade teacher weaponized the fact that I was struggling with my schoolwork. And he said, I almost believed you, but you've been doing really bad in your schoolwork lately, so I think you're just lying. I think you're just lying because you've been doing really bad and you have poor grades at school right now. So I think Diane is actually telling the truth, and we're going to put you on in-school suspension. You're going to be punished for this thing that is truly terrible and awful, that you've been dabbling in witchcraft on school property and that you brought this into our school. So Diane got away with that. Yes, I got in-school suspension for doing witchcraft at a Christian school. And they made me ride the bus to school. The teachers walked me away from the kids, took me back to some room, and then I spent the day in a room by myself, not even with a teacher. They just stuck me in a room with my books and made me sit there all day by myself. They didn't even teach me, by the way. I didn't have a teacher. I didn't have anybody. I just sat in a room by myself all day for my in-school suspension, which was like 2 weeks. I got to deal with the kids ridiculing me because I got in-school suspension, and everybody in the school knew why, for witchcraft. So that was just another thing that I had on top of me. And then I don't even understand what the point was because I was just in a room by myself. And then I also, at some point, had after school stuff too, where they made me write Bible verses over and over again, but we'll talk about that another time. There was no reason for me to be punished for this whole witchcraft bit. The only reason I got into trouble was because my grades were suffering. That makes zero sense to me because I literally told the teacher that the reason why I participated was because I was having a really hard time, that I was struggling with a lot, and my grades would have reflected that. That should have supported my arguments that I was indeed going through something and that I needed help. For some reason, that was enough to brand me as a witch and punish me more. But the punishment didn't end there. The punishment just continued, because from then on, every single thing about me was hyperanalyzed, and it was because I wasn't saved then. And the problem wasn't, oh, things are bad at home. The problem was you're not saved because you don't have Jesus in your heart. And if you just accept Jesus into your heart, then everything will be fine. And that's what your real problem is. In fact, my 5th grade teacher even told me that he was sad that they took spankings out of school, that they made it illegal because he wished he could spank me. He told me that. He legitimately told me that. A struggling student who looked the way that I looked. I was rail thin, pale, bags under my eyes, head coverings, greasy hair half the time, dressed in oversized clothes, with long sleeves in questionable weather, withdrawn, struggling grades, and now this whole debacle. Why? Why would this young person who is dressed in this attire, who comes from this hyper religious family, suddenly show up and be doing witchcraft? First of all. And secondly, what teacher would say to a student who is struggling with their grades, I wish that they still allowed spankings in school so that I could beat you? He said that to me. That teacher said that to me, to my face, as I was struggling with my classes and struggling in general, because I was being beaten at home, caged at home, and did not have any support at home to even do any of my work. But my problem was because Jesus wasn't in my heart. I guarantee you Jesus was in my heart. I guarantee you that I was the most devout, Christian, God-fearing child in that school. I loved God with all of my heart during that time. That wasn't the problem at all. This is the problem. This is what happens when dogma is more important than data. But maybe that time was prophetic. Who knows? Now, I have grown a lot since my time at that school, and my faith, my beliefs, my morals, my perception of the world has changed significantly. I'm not the same person that I was by far. We're never the same people we are when we're a child, but I have never forgotten what I went through. I have never forgotten the way that people looked at me as a child. I have never forgotten the way that people put their religion onto me as a child. And I've carried that with me into my adulthood. When we place our faith and our religion onto people and replace their humanity with our beliefs, there is a problem there. There is a problem with that. And that is what happened to me. That has consistently happened to me in my life. My humanity has been replaced by people's religion, by people's opinions, by people's perceptions, just by the way people look at me. People look at me and they replace my humanity with opinions and perspectives, and that's just ridiculous. That's their choice. That will always be a choice. It will never be mine. I will always do my best to at least be open to the idea that I don't know everything, and be open to the idea that perhaps, maybe, it is our diversity and our distinction that makes this world so beautiful. And I'm just going to keep on reaching. And I hope you keep on reaching too. We have to. We just gotta. That's this episode of Potions and Processing. I hope that you're out there having a really good day. I try not to be too preachy when I do my videos. I grew up, obviously, surrounded by preachiness. It's hard for me sometimes because I want people to be good. I want them to learn from my story. I don't want you to leave from my videos and be like, oh God, another one of those people. But maybe sometimes I do. I don't know. I just want you to you have so much potential, no matter where you come from or what you believe in or who you are or where you're going. You have so much potential. And I just want to make sure that you see it and you own it and you claim it and you hold on to it. No matter where you are, where you're going. Because this world is kind of rough sometimes. And I just want to be that person that when I come across your feed, you're reminded that you're good. Okay? Take a breath and remember to just step outside your bubble sometimes, because a lot of people are having a hard time too, and we're so much better if we're just working together. That's all I want, is just to make things better. I want to keep talking about this school because I feel like I'm kind of on a roll. There's so many more things to talk about it, so we're just going to keep on chugging with it, I guess. If there's ever things that I talk about as I move through my videos and you find it interesting or you want more elaboration about it, you can always leave a comment below and ask, and I'll be happy to follow up on it more or talk about it more. Sometimes I say things, but I don't always think to elaborate on it more because this is my story and I've lived it. And so it's like I know the things, but I don't always think that you guys don't know the things. Does that make sense? I'm an open book, so please ask me questions because I want to share. I want you to know, and I'm not afraid of anything that you might have to ask. That is out there too. So please, I'm going to do this super YouTube-y thing now. If you like my content, will you like and subscribe? I hate that, but will you do that? Will you consider doing that, please? Thank you. Anyway, I will see you in the next video. That's not the right ending. Remember, we may be different species, but we're all part of the same family. So please, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I will see you next week.